All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, everywhere in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Ben Allen. Hope everybody's doing well today on this beautiful Tuesday. As always, let's shut off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes. And let's make sure that we participate and engage. And as always, we want to start our day off by taking massive action. That action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome, centering yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trusting education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right. So if everybody can hear me okay, drop me one in the chat and we will get things rocking. All right, appreciate it. So let's slide over to trading economics, get a quick overview. We'll talk about some additional things uh, on the tax bill front as they're working to get that thing passed with closed door changes um, and all of the above. So we'll see where that goes from there. Let's do it. There we go. All right. So Eurozone, Eurozone inflation rate at 2% for June 2025, up from 1.9 in May, in line with the market expectations. It remained at or below the ECB's target for the second consecutive month, reflecting an uptick in services inflation alongside a slowdown in the cost of food, alcohol, tobacco, and a continued decline in energy prices. Core inflation rate held steady at 2.3%, right? Over the weekend, Benny talked about the euro and how, right, we've been long on the euro, and this is why, right? They've they've got inflation down into their zone. They've backed off of their or slowed down the rate cutting cycle, right? And they're in a sweet spot right now. All right. So that's where the ECB is. And good for the euro. Right. So we go over to the next euro climbed above $1.18, strongest level since August 2021, supported by signs that the Eurozone inflation has stabilized. Right. Eurostat reported June inflation at 2%, matching ECB's target, and slightly up from 1.9. Core inflation remained at 2.3, while services inflation ticked up to 3.3. These figures reinforce views from the ECB officials that inflation is largely under control, possibly justifying a pause in interest rates after eight reductions since June 2024. Meanwhile, consumer surveys show falling inflation expectations, right? Adding to the case for holding rates steady. The euro was also buoyed by a weaker dollar as markets price in Fed rate cuts and anticipated progress on US EU trade talks ahead of July 9th deadline. All right. Um, so we got the euro rallying right now. Uh, and that's all in line with what we anticipated. Then we have on the stock side, stocks 50, stock 600 slipped 0.2% on Tuesday, reversing early gains as investors closely watch the trade negotiation between with the U.S. ahead of the looming July 9th deadline for reciprocal tariffs. Bloomberg reported that the EU is open to a deal involving a 10% universal tariff on any of its exports, but is seeking concessions from the U.S. on key sectors such as pharmaceuticals, alcohol, semiconductors. Keep our eyes on that one. And commercial aircrafts. EU's trade chief is expected to lead a negotiation lead delegation to Washington this week in effort to advance the talks, according to sources cited by Bloomberg. Okay. Um, so we'll see, right? On the data front, figures euro inflation 2% as expected. Meanwhile, ECB chief economist Philip Lane stated that the central bank's recent tightening cycle has concluded. On the corporate front, Nestle down 0.2%, Hermes down 0.4%, ASML Holding down 0.9%, Novo Nordisk down 1.1%. Um, they all book losses, while SAP up 0.3%, LVMH up 2.1%, trading in the green. Okay, so that's where we are from a Eurozone perspective. I want to go here. Um, US stock futures held steady on Tuesday, following a strong close to both the month and the quarter. This is July 1st. Um, with the S&P 500 and NASDAQ composite reaching new all-time highs on Monday. The S&P rose 0.52%, while the NASDAQ rose 0.47%, buoyed by solid gains in big tech names such as Microsoft, Meta, which also notched fresh record highs. Dow Jones also added 0.63%. Investor sentiment was lifted after Canada rolled back its proposed digital services tax in a move aimed to ease trade tensions with the U.S. Markets are also waiting developments on the new trade agreements with the US, with key U.S. partners ahead of the expiration date. Donald Trump's 90-day reprieve for the reciprocal tariffs. Meanwhile, Treasury yields decline amid growing expectations of Federal Reserve rate cut later this year, further supporting a bullish outlook for equities. They keep talking up this rate cut, right? So we'll continue to watch that. um, what do they call it? The shadow. Um, what do they call it? For Jerome Powell, right? The person Donald Trump wants to replace him with and trying to replace him early.
Oh,
So
the shadow chair.
that's it. That's the word I was looking for. Appreciate it, bro.
Yep.
We'll keep an eye there to see if that shadow chair impacts this at all. Okay. Um, over to the calendar. We'll update this and go to the current week. So yesterday, not a ton of major news yet. President Lagarde speaking. Um, PMI data out of the Eurozone for today, though. Right, you got Governor Bailey speaking, you got Governor Ueda speaking, you got Governor Fed Chair Powell speaking, all around, and Christine Lagarde speaking. 9:30, right? You got manufacturing PMI 9:45. You got ISM, that's the final manufacturing PMI. Then you got ISM manufacturing PMI at 10, Job's job openings at 10, manufacturing prices at 10 o'clock. Um, and you got retail sales for the Aussie tonight. All right. And then we go into our regular cycle, right? Wednesday, 80, non-farm employment change. We do got CPI on the Swissy for Thursday. Average hourly earnings, non-farm payroll, unemployment rate on Thursday, right? So ahead of the 4th, right? I got that in before the 4th of July holiday. So it's going to be on a Thursday instead of a Friday this week. All right. So that's the week. It'll be a busy interesting, busy middle of the week here. Okay. Headed into that 4th of July holiday, along with this tax bill that they're trying to force through. Um, you got GOP leaders working intensely behind closed doors to address lawmakers' key concerns, such as Medicaid funding, that SALT deduction limit, and rural hospital support. That's been a big piece from some of the things I've been reading, that rural hospital support. Um, is as they roll back this Medicaid funding, some of those rural areas believe that some of their medical facilities will have to close down if they don't have that additional support. So they're working to get additional hospital support and funding built into this bill, and that's causing some additional conversations there. Um, that SALT tax cap, uh, they're looking to have that at 40,000 for 5 years and reverting back to $10,000 after that. Um, and then they're working to establish a $15 billion hospital stabilization fund aimed at the rural and community medical centers. Some of the big pieces there. But just continue to watch the details on this. And again, they're gonna force this thing through, regardless of what they have to do. That may not be may not be fully legal to do it. So we'll continue to keep our eyes there and keep watching the developments there. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. How are you doing, Ryan?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Oh man, doing pretty good. Always glad to be here with the group.
Yes, sir.
Always. Man, I spoke too soon yesterday, Ryan, on this whole AI regulation thing. Because through all of the mess and rigmarole last night, the Senate removed a tax bill provision limiting AI regulation.
Oh, they removed it?
Yeah.
Ah,
So it says here that they voted 99 to 1 to remove a provision from President Donald Trump's tax legislation that would have prevented U.S. states from regulating artificial intelligence. The provision would have barred states from passing AI legislation if they received broadband funding from a $500 million program and was a top priority for major tech companies and venture capital firms. It says here that despite the Senate's move, the tech industry is likely to continue pushing for curtailing state AI legislation and future federal tech policy efforts.
ooh.
So that went down in flames. So I don't know what the reaction will be, market reaction will be to that. Once it opens, like it's like you said today, is in the quarter, in the month going into the new month. Uh, so yeah, that was top of mind for me this morning as I was looking through articles to see what was going on. Because I fell asleep last night watching the whole Senate thing go down, but
Yeah.
that's one that came out of it. I saw last night today one of the senators tried to put it in a provision that uh, would have stopped. Uh, I think it was something like what was it, 12 kids 12 and under from receiving food benefits and things like that.
Oh, wow.
They rejected it. The GOP rejected it. So I'm like, man, like this is no holds barred. Like they don't care.
They don't care at
So
all, man.
no, I was like, dang on. Like I didn't get to read the details, but I know, of why they rejected. If it was something else, they were trying to slide in behind that. But I was like, dang, it was like breaking news. Like they rejected a provision that would have prevented kids under 12 from losing, the funding they needed for food benefits. I was like, dang. So yeah, still a lot of back and forth. It's quite interesting. It is quite interesting. So we'll see. We'll see how it
I,
goes. But that was the biggest thing. that I
I
read was that yeah.
yeah, I recommend people watch those. Hop on YouTube. You can watch it live,
Yep.
right? Watch these conversations. It's really enlightening to hear some of the stuff, and obviously they're not gonna. There's stuff that's happening behind closed doors as well that will get leaked at some point. But listening to some of those conversations and what's being added and what's being subtracted and the back and forth that actually goes on, right? It's public information. So hop on YouTube and watch these conversations. They're very, very, very enlightening.
Yeah.
Very
So
enlightening.
the I agree with you, man. Like it'll have an impact on our everyday lives, right? So some of the other takeaways yesterday. So the Senate tax cut bill. Now this is coming from Bloomberg, right? So the Senate tax cut bill will cost the bottom 20% of taxpayers an average of $560 a year, while giving an average boost of $6,055 to those at the top end. Um, the uneven distribution of the bill's cost of benefits comes from a mix of tax and spending provisions, including cuts to Medicaid and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program that we all know as SNAP. So that's what I was talking about. Um, the proposal by Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida would cut Medicaid even further, and the bill could be even more regressive if tariffs were included. So all of that talk, it was just like how they kept saying during the campaign, you know, what Project 2025? What Project 2025? Now they have a a website that you could track exactly how much progress they've made in hitting the key goals of Project 2025, and you'd be amazed to see how far they've gotten in just these last 6 months, and accomplishing a lot of those goals. And just like how they were on the whole news cycle circuit when this whole bill thing started to come up, make headlines that, oh, there's not going to be any cuts to Medicaid. What are you talking about? Well, there's cuts to Medicaid. So uh, the drama continues. Ryan, are you talking?
My bad. Yep, I was.
Yeah.
My bad. No, I'm saying they're at something like 42%, right? Of Project 2025, something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming, guys. It's coming. And so us as investors, right? We need to be aware and understand so that we can understand how to operate within the rules that are being created, right? To then do whatever you choose after you create the capital to do so, right? Be it move elsewhere, impact change here, all those things become available once you have the capital to do that. So we got to be aware of what's coming, what's on the board, understand the rules of the game so that we know how to play the game, right? And we're not behind like the general public. So appreciate you, bro. Um,
No doubt.
Enjoy big customer etiquette. Yep, 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 absolutely. So continue to keep your eyes peeled, continue to do the research, and continue to keep your eyes on your charts, right? And identify things that fall into place for you and your rules. All right. Any other questions, comments, thoughts from a fundamental perspective?
Just on a social front, when you think about like local economies and things here in the States, that can impact, job numbers. The Trump administration announced that they are terminating the temporary protected status for Haitians. So
Talk to us deep.
that will officially be terminated September 2nd. So that affects potentially over a 500,000 individuals.
Tell us
And
what that
so,
means, Benny.
well, they contribute a lot to the economy, but the social aspect of it is we got a lot of ICE raids going on right now here in the United States. So I'm sorry, did somebody say something?
No, go ahead, bro.
So, that could definitely have an impact on local economies, companies. Um, I mean, if they start sending ICE after them, I'm still trying to figure out how you're gonna tell the difference between an African American and a Haitian, because we all black.
You can't.
You can't, right? So that was being sarcastic, right? Cynicism there, but like you can't. And so we'll see how this plays out, right? So it goes from the eating the cats and dogs to now you're revoking temporary protected status that could impact 500,000 people. So when
Potentially
we
more.
potentially more, absolutely. So when we talk about, like I said, local economies being impacted, companies who employ a lot of the Haitians, they do contribute to our economy. And then just when we talk about cycles and Ray Dalio and just the periods of social unrest, that's why it's important that we pay attention to what's going on. That's it, man.
Appreciate you, dude. Um, what Benny just said, right? We'll get to the charts, but what Benny just said, connecting that to Ray Dalio's cycles, right? It leads you further into, because we're already in the Civil War portion of the cycle, I believe, and that leads you deeper into that Civil War cycle. Um, so tons of civil unrest, tons of infighting. Um, and that continues to perpetuate this larger cycle that has been broken down and identified, right? That has occurred before. And where does that lead us from a social perspective, from an economic perspective, from um, a geopolitical perspective, and shifting of those powers, right? So definitely, definitely stay abreast of those things. All right. Let's see. Shout out to the Dodgers. What happened with the Dodgers, Joy?
Masked individual tried to get into the stadium at the last game when
Oh, yeah, yeah,
and they stopped them
yeah, yeah.
because they wouldn't identify. And so the mayor of LA basically like, they sent out trying to find out to Homeland Security. They like it's not us. They sent it out to another agency. It's not us. We ain't send nobody. So, but and then they said, well, the man car broke down. Well, if the man car broke down, why y'all got a jump out vehicle with y'all?
Yeah, yeah. That stuff is interesting, man. That stuff is super interesting. So just continue to be aware. Um, Continue to keep your eyes open. Um, yeah, we'll leave that there for now. To the dollar crashing, crashing, right? Headed right to our zone that we've talked about, we've been watching, right? We broke that key level at 97,665, right? And all we're looking for now on the dollar index and dollar crosses and dollar pairs is pullbacks and continuations, right? I don't see this trend slowing down anytime soon. I don't, right? So this $91 range as you come back to some of these higher time frames. right? We're pushing into a 118, 127 zone on the sub fib, but this capital fib 618 retracement matching extension 91, right? I see that coming. Okay, so we'll continue to monitor and watch, right? But pullbacks and continuations on the way down is what we're looking for on the DXY. Okay, monthly time frame, same deal, 91, right? So that's our overall target as price continues to move, as we get pullbacks and all of that. We're looking at $91 for the dollar. And then we'll assess from there, right? Because it could ultimately continue to move deeper than that.
Okay.
Michelle, you got a question? No. So DXY headed down. All right. Oh, that's what it is. Headed to the downside. And so we'll continue to watch that free fall, right? And with that, I'll go over to the euro dollar because we talked about that in the fundamentals, rising as we anticipated, right? 50% retracement, matching extension, 119. We're about to be there. All right. We're about to be there. Okay. So running off to the upside, euro is doing what we've talked about the euro doing. All right. We come down to the 4 and we're headed there. 119, 50% retracement. Boom. Okay. So if you're still sitting in that euro dollar trade, which I hope most of you are, keep rocking with it, right? We'll watch this potential 80-20 development here as we get to some monthly highs, right? And we'll look for pullbacks and continuations, right? So we'll watch this 80-20 here. We'll look to see if we can push up into this 118 and 127 zone and then see if we get a nice retracement, right? We took out these levels, nice retracement, right? And maybe we don't get that deep, we'll see, but then continuation to the upside. And these retracements, again, right? Past resistance, see if it can come future support. We're looking for opportunities to add to those positions, right? So we'll watch those waves as they evolve. Okay, so we'll keep our eyes on the euro dollar for an opportunity to add. Questions on the euro dollar? No.
Nope.
Cool beans. So I wanted to bounce there because we talked about that during the fundamentals, but I want to take a look at S&P 500. I want to keep my eyes on these. I don't know if there's going to be anything that causes this reversal, but S&P 500, new all-time highs. Okay. So that level comes out now. We're pushing deeper into this 118, 127 zone. Is there anything that causes a retracement to come here? Okay. I don't know what it could be. I don't know what I don't know. But sitting nicely in the 80-20 zone. Okay. We'll come back to the weekly. I have not took that out. So waiting on the swing high here on the weekly. Yeah. Um, but 80-20 on the daily. Okay. 80-20 on the daily. Do we get a reversal here? Stochastic in the sell zone. Coming up against this deadline. I don't know. Um, Reese said Big Ugly Bill fails and it drops. Potential, right? That could be the catalyst if it doesn't get through um by the fourth. So I'm watching this closely, right? So as we come down to the 4, right? You also have the same thing here, right? You also got the same thing here. We have the consolidation. We push through that consolidation. So now do we consolidate again? And is there something that pulls it to the downside? Come down to the 1, you got the same thing, right? So on all of our key time frames, we have this 80-20 scenario that we're sitting in. So yeah, no, I'm with you, bro. I'm with you. So just watching, right? I don't have any short positions. I still have my smaller long position in, right? But what we do want is a low price to get back long, right? Because 65, 6,800, right? Those ranges are still the target, right? 64.08 on this 1 hour time frame, right? Still the target, but can we get a low price to add to those? So I'm keeping my eyes on these for that reason, right? This QQQ, right? Come back to the daily. Any questions on the SP 500? Sorry, this bounced away. No. QQQ headed long, right? New all-time highs, right? Took out the high. Boom, we're running. 80-20 here as well, right? The extension 581. Stochastic moving into the sell zone. Okay. Another than I'm watching from a ETF perspective, are we able to come back and retest previous highs? Right? Are we able to come back and retest these levels here? This level. That level would be wishful thinking, but this level here, right? 494. Now to give us the inverted crown pattern. Okay. So nothing yet. Nothing yet, but are we able to get something like that? Right? So watching there, coming to the four, right? You have an 80-20 here as well. Okay. 80-20 here as well, stochastic in the sell zone. Do we get things to level out and get a retracement to come, right? On this four, retracement back to this level, just shy of a 382, just like on the daily. Okay. Come down to the one, same story. All right, this one could likely hit the D extension first because we're almost there. All right, 555, we're at 545. That could gap up, hit that D extension on the 1 hour when the market opens, right? Wouldn't be surprising. So watching indices and these ETFs that are tied to those closely because I want a low price, right? I want a low price to continue to buy. That's what I want. All right. So that's that. Um, right? And this QQQ tracks this. Okay. So I'm just going through these because I want us to keep our eyes on these, right? Because they are in our zone, right? And we're looking for a fundamental catalyst that will cause these to move, but they're all creating all-time highs. Okay. All creating all-time highs. So I want us to keep our eyes on these to see if we get a catalyst to move them back down, right? So that we can then get back on this buying train, right? As the market goes crazy and we get into a state where we do get rate cuts that pushes the market higher. And at some point, for some reason, we start printing more money, right? And we get this euphoric state, right? And then the boom, and then the bust, right? Transfer of wealth. So that's what I'm looking at. Okay, S&P five. Sorry, Nasdaq 100 in 1 hour, just like on the S&P 500. That one could get to that D extension sooner, and then do we get a reversal from there? Okay. Questions on these? No, no. All right. Will be All right. Cool deal. So that's that. Um, Oil still range bound, right? Still range bound sitting here at the $64 level. Okay, watching closely past resistance. It's holding against future support. We got to swing low here, right? What's going to be the catalyst to move this back to the upside? Okay, what's going to be the catalyst to move this back to the upside? So I'm going to watch that closer to see how that goes, what it looks like, and what the catalyst is. We're sitting right in our sweet spot here. Okay, stochastic, oversold, almost at zero, right? Do we get the reversal here? Come down to the 4. Right? We took that A out. So this is a fresh AB boundary here, right? And do we get that reversal back to the upside? Stochastic also in the buy zone. Down to 1, AB boundary. Okay. I'm getting a strong push now. Let's see. Let's see if we get a nice break of the cloud and a Kumo twist to follow. Right. So let's watch that on the 1 hour to see if we get that movement back to the upside there. Okay. So that's where we are there. Um, mm, mm, mm. Questions on oil. Anybody got any data on oil that'll be pertinent for us to know?
Have no update.
No update. All right.
Nope, I'll have some tonight. I was off to church yesterday.
Cool deal. No problem. Appreciate you. All right. So give me 1 second, everybody.
Oh, I do want to point out that OPEC will be having a seminar in Australia the 9th to the 10th, but I didn't find out what it was about.
Australia seminar for OPEC. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Cool beans. Cool beans. Appreciate that. So we'll keep our eyes there. That could get us moving there. All right. Um, Dollar yen down. Makes sense, right? Um, you got a new member on the board of the BOJ, and that new member is in support of Governor Ueda's uh, decision to take their time making this decision, right? So, but you have a weak dollar, which is leading this to the downside. So this will probably continue. We'll watch this 142, 246 level. Again, it's going to be about pullbacks and continuations, right? Because we're headed to the downside here. Okay, this is our crown pattern. This is our harmonic fib on that crown pattern, right? 786 retracement. 133 is the target. All right, 133 is the target. And as long as the dollar continues to crash, we'll continue to see this move. Okay. Um, I know I got a lot happening on this screen, but we come down to the 4. See that a little bit more clearly here. The sub fib run into the downside. 382, matching extension, 142, 246. Okay, so we're headed down. We didn't get that deep retracement, and we likely won't because of that dollar weakness. Okay, the extension likely, and then a reset, and then we'll look for a continuation to the downside, right? So if you're not in this, right, wait for that high price and then get an opportunity to get short. Okay. Um, okay. So headed south on the dollar yen and headed south on the dollar yen, right? All things line up with that 142, 246 level. Okay. Questions on the dollar yen? No? All right.
So wait a minute, I do have a question. So I know we're the dollar is down, but Japan just did announce something yesterday, right? They CPI information, and it was kind of weak. So basically, this is both of the currency being weak together, or Japan just got more
Well,
strength.
so you that this is I think this is surely driven by the dollar's weakness, right? This chart surely driven by the dollar's weakness. The Bank of Japan, Governor Ueda, the new member on the board, they're all on board to slow roll their process of increasing rates, right? So the yen is still relatively weak, and we go look at the pound yen, the euro yen, right? We'll see those moving to the upside. Um, so those are still the yen is still weak, and it'll continue to be as such, um, because of the Bank of Japan stance, right? As we've kind of been watching for the past however long now, right? Um, so with your other pairs, we'll likely see a difference, right? And this is surely driven by the dollar, right? We'll go to that pound yen, right? It's retracing now, but I think this is just a retracement, not a complete reversal. Okay, because we don't have yen strength at the moment, right? We don't. Okay, CPI is down. They're not changing their stance. So we're looking at a retracement here for another move to the upside, likely. Okay. So that dollar yen play, the way that this is crashing, right? If you look at that DXY underneath it, they look almost similar, right? So
Yeah.
that's led by that dollar weakness.
Okay. Well, only reason why I was saying because when I did look at it Sunday, it just looked like I mean, if we get a catalyst, because on the daily is in a sweet spot, so that's the reason why I was asking.
Let's go back on the daily.
Now I got mine's running up from
Oh, you get running off the low?
yeah, if you could.
I got you. Let me clean this up.
Not from that leg, from the very bottom.
Okay. Oh, coming back here. Looking at it like that.
Why mine's look different? Well, I'm waiting for my chart to come up and I'm gonna
Depend
tell
on
you
where
where I
you're
got it
running
running
from.
from. And maybe I got it running off no, off that leg, off this no, the one before that the leg, the last rally.
This here.
Over. Over.
Here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That still gets
I'm
me.
gonna pull it up. I'll pull
Okay.
it up and I'll let you know. I'm waiting on my computer to get up.
Cool deal. All right. So that's that. Um, I have my eyes on the Swiss yen. This is one that is moving to the upside as well. We're creating new highs also, right? We broke this level. We talked about it last week, right? So if we break this level, that 183 is definitely there. And we did, right? So we're headed to this 183,606 level, that D extension. So all-time highs on the Swiss yen, right? You got two safe haven currencies battling it out here, right? Um, come down to the 4, as we get to that D extension level, that puts us in a 118 and 127 zone on the 4. Okay. So do we get an 80-20 here and set us up for a reversal, right? As we get higher, right? Looking for it to continue to push long, but 183, 184 range, are we able to get an 80-20 and a decent size move back down to the downside, getting us back into our sweet spot, right? Almost 1,000 pips back down. So got my eyes on this one as it continues to run to the upside. Do we get a stall and do we get a reversal back down to the downside? Okay. And here, right, that 183 level will put us close to that D extension on the 1. Okay, so looking for more push to the upside, but watching for an opportunity to come back down. All right, so those are my thoughts on the Swiss yen. Questions here? September 15th. Let's go back to this dollar yen real quick. But how do you have? Yeah, I don't know, Joy, because that got taken out with this move down right there.
I'm gonna put my chart in the community. Why I got that then?
I don't know. I don't know.
I literally got it on September 15th. I thought it was further back, my bad.
No, all good. All good.
And actually, I take that back. Take that back. Started. I see where it came from. Wait a minute, let me get the date. March 23, 23 is where the fibs ran and that continued on. I swear to God, if you don't get
I
it.
got you.
Okay.
Yeah. I got you. Um, I my personal opinion, I think this A gets taken out. I think this A gets taken out. I know we're in a sweet spot on that particular scenario. Um, but I think the A gets taken out.
I hear my Benny conscious. We're going with fundamentals and not technicals.
I think the fundamentals are gonna drive it, man. Again, we'll watch right these levels, right? We got a daily support level 142,390. We'll watch that level, right? If we break below that, our next level is 139, which is in line with that A boundary, right? And so we'll keep eye on the levels and see where we are. We got a stochastic pushing down into a buy zone, so we could be setting up for a pullback of some sort, and we could stay range bound, right? So if we pull all, not even sure what all these lines are for, but we pull all that out and we look at it, right? You got a range. So if this level holds, we can move back to the top of the range, right? That could also be a scenario. So we'll watch our levels as we progress, right? If then statements, if price breaks the support level, we're taking out that A, right? If this level holds, we'll look to stay range bound. All right. And we'll put it there. Okay. And then we'll look at the fundamental catalysts to see, what changes, what evolves there, and if there are any if there's a catalyst to continue pushing the dollar to the downside. And then conversely, is there something that causes the yen to weaken more than the dollar? All right. So we'll keep our eyes peeled. We'll keep watching. Okay. Appreciate you. Okay. That's what I have my eyes on right now. Um, Tomorrow we're going to deep dive on semiconductors. Tomorrow we're going to deep dive on semiconductors. Um, it's an area for us to watch, but I want to lead us into what Benny alluded to from an AI perspective. I want to not just semiconductors, but the next phase of this AI boom, this AI push of software. And as we get a grasp on semiconductors, I want to then start researching software, AI software that could be revolutionary and game changing, and how we can identify some of those companies that are using some of this, the semiconductor technology um, in a great way. So we're going to build the foundation and we're going to build on it, right? And we're going to go from there and look deeper into things that have um, some higher level opportunity and long-term explosive opportunity when you're talking about new software that's revolutionary, implementing the um, the hardware that's being developed now, right? The hardware is being developed now. We're seeing that boom in the hardware space, right? With semiconductors being parts of that. And the next phase of that evolution, when you look back at history and you look at technological advances and how the world evolves, the next phase of that is software, right? In this digital age, software is going to be the next piece. So I want us to be looking ahead of in identifying those opportunities early so that we can continue to take advantage of those. So that's what we're going to discuss tomorrow with semiconductors. But in the meantime, anybody got any charts that you want me to take a look at that you have your eyes on?
I'm GM, NZD, and Euro Aussie.
Pound NZD is more like stuck range bound. Stuck range bound. Um, mm, mm, mm. Pound NZD. This is where we are, right? We came back to the top of that range and we're headed back down. Okay. A nice strong push to the upside that got us there. Stochastic in the sell zone. We're stuck right now, right? You got an interesting back and forth where not a ton is happening out of the UK right now. They got tariff negotiations still. Um, Trying to figure out where the rate cuts and where that comes in based on the data. And then you got a risk on-ish environment right now, which supports the New Zealand dollar. Okay, so you got back and forth happening here. Um, you still sitting long in this one, Joy?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been sitting long. I am 223035. And I've been in since
It's way back here.
I've been in since April 22nd.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Good position, right? Somewhere in this range. And so now you're just watching to see kind of what how it evolves. Okay.
And I just wanted to go to to the deep retracement zone, to be honest. I was waiting on the pullback because the NZD started to cool off. So I figured, to continue to hold the position um, since Great Britain was having some gains.
Yeah. So we'll watch because I know we're watching. There was an 80-20, I think, on the four that we were playing to the upside. Yeah, right here. and we haven't gotten to that 382 yet on the 4, right? So that long position definitely makes sense if we're able to get a breakout to the upside and get there. Okay. So definitely continue watching that evolution here because I do think we get there at some point. It's just getting through the back and forth first. So, uh, excuse me, sorry. So I like your positioning here, and we're just looking for a catalyst to get us into that deep retracement zone here on the 4. Okay, and once we get there, then we come back to the daily, and we have that opportunity to be short, getting us back down into our buy zone if that is going to be the thing, right? And that this kind of sub fib extension level, excuse me, down here around that 213 zone, right? So I like your position here on this 4 hour on this 80-20 to the upside, right? I got out of this and I took my profit a while ago, but we haven't got to that 382 yet. So still looking for that to develop and get there before we get that move back down to the downside. Okay, so we'll see. We'll have to continue to watch the fundamentals on this one, right? As we bounce around in the range. We need a catalyst to push that pound to the upside here. Okay. But I like your positioning on it. Right. And you see just that fib getting taken out back and forth. Okay. So that's where we are. That one I'm watching at this point. But again, that 382 is the target. Okay. So great work there. Great patience on that. What was the other one?
Euro Aussie.
The Euro Aussie. That thing's still rumbling. Still rumbling. Right? From a weekly time frame perspective, we had that past resistance becoming future support. Got the beautiful push to the upside, right? Coming down to the daily 8-6 retracement, reversal. Okay. And so we're just tracking the ABCD waves to the upside at this point. We got stochastic in the sell zone, so we could be in for a retracement and the low price to continue moving to the upside on the lower time frames. Okay, so we come down here to the 4. I'm going to pull this out, right? Because this was the 80-20 that we were playing on that. We already got to TP1, TP2 is on its way, right? So we'll take that out and we'll just look at it this way. Okay, so we got, let me double check this. There we go. All right, we got fibs running to the upside, and that's where we are. Okay, so we're slowly trekking along, making the move to the upside. We could get a reversal, right? And a retracement here in the zone to give us a low price, right? And that would definitely be welcome to give us that energy off that trampoline to push long. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for, that action. And we've got great pullbacks on this as it's been moving, right? Brought us back down into our sweet spot, matching extension, right? I'm looking for this one to bring us back down into the sweet spot so we can add to that position moving to the upside, right? So that's ultimately the goal in my eyes is getting us here, okay? So looking for a low price. So don't be surprised if you get a pullback here, right? You got a support level, but don't be surprised if you get a pullback back down into this 50% 618 range. Um, and then things will settle in. Okay. So
So I'm gonna say this, and I hope Deb is listening. A lot of times I wait for the pullback, but I thought I already got it. And I'm putting my patience in right now because I actually got out of this when the first TP was hit. And I jumped back in when I realized pullback. So where you saying price is going to come is basically coming back. So I didn't get the pullback because what price is coming back to, I'm at 177.031. So I'm gonna have to sit up here and bear through that.
177031.
Yeah.
That's not a bad position. That's down here in the zone here, right? So to bring you
Yeah,
back to break even, basically.
yeah.
Maybe a
And
little
it,
bit of drawdown.
and sometimes I freak out like I should have closed. I should have closed. And then sometimes I get discouraged. Um, and I think sometimes I end up staying in the wrong place, and then I jump out too soon on the right one. So this is like a right one if I would have kept my original position, but it
Mhm.
is what it is.
And
Um,
that goes back to, right? Focusing on if you're ultimate ultimately tracking this off the daily time frame, right? Focusing, coming back when you feel that uncertainty, coming back to your longer term uh, idea,
yeah,
right? Coming back to your longer term idea. Have have my rules been broken,
no,
right? So going back to asking those yes or no questions, right? So good thing for Deb, right? Good reminder for all of us, right? When you feel that uncertainty, go back to your yes or no questions, right? Are my rules still intact? Yes or no, right? Not maybe, not I feel, not no, 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 right? Are my rules still intact? I'm tracking this off the daily time frame right now. So this actually has to be adjusted down here. Boom. Are my rules still intact? Right? I got a 8-6 retracement. Are we still moving to the upside? Yes. Beautiful. I'm still sitting in this regardless of what happens down here because my ultimate destination is here. Right? So regardless of what happens on these lower time frames, price is headed to 188 unless this low gets taken out. Right? So are my rules still intact? Yes. I can run fibs off this 4 hour time frame. Awesome. Right? This just tells me when I have an opportunity to add to my trade. If I'm not at my full position limit, right? I'm tracking this off the daily time frame. It's still moving in my direction, right? It hasn't taken out my A. All right, lower time frame. I'm gonna look to continue to build my position on the 4 hour. Cool. So each pullback that I get, as long as it doesn't take out the A, it has no choice but to go my way. So when it comes down into my sweet spot, add a position. All right. Next ABCD wave happens. Boom. D extension occurred. New fib presents itself. Past resistance becoming future support. Add a position. Now price is headed to my overall D extension from the daily time frame. Right. So when you get uncertainty, ask yes or no questions. Are my rules still intact? Yes or no? Is price still moving in my favor from my mother chart daily time frame? Is price still moving in the direction I anticipated it? Yes. Did it take out my A? No. I'm still sitting long. And I can come down to the 1 hour time frame. I'll take this out because my bias on this is to the upside. So I'm no longer looking at that move down. I'm just looking at the ABCD waves to the upside. Right? And when I get a pullback, I'll look to add to my trade. Right? So that's when you can go from that daily time frame to the 1 hour time frame because I'm looking for the pullback. Did price come down into my sweet spot? Yes. Did price take out the A? No. Did I get a trend line break? Yes. I can add a position. Adding to my trade. Boom. Right? Yes or no questions. The emotions are going to happen. The feelings are going to come up. The way you move through those feelings is by going back to your trading plan and answering yes or no questions. Right? And there's going to be times where you jump out, you close a trade, right? But remind yourself, I have a set of yes or no questions in my rules that are to keep me in line with my trading plan. Those are my rules for a reason. The more you do it, the better you get, right? The sooner you become aware, I stepped outside of my rules here. Let me go back and focus on my rules. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Right? The better we get at that, the longer we hold these trades, the more compounding we get. It's a beautiful part about the game. Appreciate that, Joy. But as you're an Aussie, we're still looking good to the upside, looking for a pullback for a low price to continue moving to the upside. Questions on anything that we covered this morning? Nope. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome. Appreciate you. All right, good people. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. You all have a phenomenal Tuesday.
Hey Ryan.
Yes, sir.
Hey, real
My
quick,
bad.
real quick. Shout out to .net, constantly posting those setups in the community. You know, working on holding their positions right till they hit those take profit levels. So just wanted to recognize her for putting that stuff in the community and working on that patience and holding those positions. So great work.
Great work, Donette. Great work, great work, great work. Awesome. Awesome work. Yes, we definitely appreciate you. Definitely appreciate you. Appreciate you bringing it up, Benny. Anything else before we wrap it up?
Uh, Everybody gets a chance. Check out Walmart on the 1 hour chart off the current low. So check out Walmart. Good position. Looks like it's gonna keep moving to the upside at least right now. So that's it.
All right. Appreciate it, bro.
Yep.
All right, good people. We'll be back at it tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Peace.